Hello students, this is Professor Lorenzo and welcome to today's lesson. Today we're going to be talking about character development. This is in order to help you boost your short story lessons, which are due pretty soon. So characters are what makes stories interesting. If a story didn't have a good character or good characters in it, then no one would want to read it. So it makes sense that we put a lot of effort into building our characters. So there are two types of characterization. There's direct characterization. That's when the writer just basically tells you a little bit about the character. They use adjectives to describe the character. And then you have indirect characterization, where the writer reveals information about a character and his or her personality through the character's thoughts, words, and actions. Lots of times, indirect characterization utilizes verbs. Not always, but most of the time. So when we think about adjectives with characterization, we can use quite a few different words. Some you see here are bossy, brave. The character may be careful. The character may be friendly, hardworking, and so on and so on. When we think about indirect characterization, we think about what's known as the Steele method. It's what characters say, what a character thinks, what effect character has on others, and how the character acts. And finally, what a character looks like, are all elements of indirect characterization. So when we talk about character development, we talk about two things. We talk about internal character development. In other words, what are their goals? What's driving the character's quest? What happens if the character fails? And then when we talk about external parts of a character development, we talk about how this affected the character physically, what scars do they have from it, and how will it change them? So how do we create a character profile? So first of all, let's define what a character profile is. A character profile is simply you sitting down and writing a lot of information about your character. When you do this, it helps you inform the character and therefore helps make the character more of a three-dimensional individual, so that when you're writing about the character, the reader can actually get into the character's makeup. So, the things we want to think about when we're creating a character is: are my characters convincing? Do my characters have depth? And then also think a little bit more about how do I make my character have an arc. A character arc maps the evolution of a personality through a story. It's a term that writers use to describe their protagonist's journey from a place of comfort to rapid change and back again, hence an arc. We can also think of that as being the hero's journey that we talked about earlier. So why do we create a character profile? A character profile is a detailed description of a fictional character's life and personality. Good character profile helps authors get into the mind of that character and makes the character alive for the readers. There's three parts to a character profile. There's the outer layer or physical appearance. There's the flesh, the backstory, and then there's the core or the psychology. The outer layer would include just the basics about a character, the name, age, place of birth, and so on and so on and so on. And by the way, you can use today's static lesson to get more in-depth detail about character development. But I will go over some major points here. We're also talking about the physical appearance of the character. That's part of the basics. What's their eye color, hairstyle, build. These, of course, are ways that you'll use adjectives to describe the character. We can talk about the character's speech and communication. How do they talk? Do they talk rapidly, slowly, measured? Do they have a drawl? What's the style of their speech? We can talk about their posture. Talk about, do they make any specific gestures? How much eye contact do they like to make? All of these things help a reader understand more about our character and helps our character more three-dimensional. We can talk about their face as being a resting bitch face, angel face, neutral face, or other kind of face. All of these things, as I said, just help give the character more depth. Part 2 is about the flesh. And when we say flesh, we mean the product of the character's environment. What's the name of their hometown? What type of childhood do they have? You could describe their education. Were they involved in organizations and clubs and schools such as sports, debate, the Gay Straight Alliance, drama, and so on and so on. You can also use any one of these, or maybe a combination of them, to talk about, to get into the character's flesh. Some here are very interesting. What's their earliest memory? What's their clearest memory? Do they have skeletons in the closet? Any character that has skeletons in the closet is very interesting to readers. We can also talk about their family, just maybe briefly describe their relationship with their character, such as their siblings, mom, dad, how many siblings do they have, names and ages. Characters that tell a lot about, or talk a lot about their family, helps identify that character or characterize that character as family oriented. If they say some nasty things about their family, it may not show that it may not say that they're not family oriented, but it may say that they have some deep seated issues with their family. Deep seated issues with family are always are very identifiable to readers. We can talk about their external relationships, who their closest friends are, who are their other significant friends. We can also go a little deeper and talk about what their social media platforms are. Which platforms do they use? This is always, of course, nowadays, this is always part of a character. We can talk about, are they a parent? Are they a hype man? Are they a mooch? Are they a wingman? And so on and so on and so on. Part 3 of characterization is getting at the character's core. In other words, we want to find out about this character deep down, or the psychology of the person. What do they do on rainy days? Are they street smart or book smart? Are they an optimist or a pessimist? Are they introverted or extroverted? You don't necessarily need to say these things straight out as an adjective. You can show these particular characteristics of a character by just talking about what they do, or or talking about or using dialogue with another character. Readers can tell the psychology of a character by analyzing how they talk to other people. But again, you can use adjectives to say that they're an optimist, they're a pessimist, they're introverted or extroverted. You can do it that way, but you can also do it in dialogue or in other ways. You could talk about the secrets they keep. You could talk about how they approach power, ambition, love, or strength, or change. The bottom line is, what you want to do here is in creating a character development, in other words, writing down some of these things about your character for yourself, and writing down as many as possible helps you to get to know the character that you're writing about. And the more you know about the character you're writing about, the more you're able to relay to the reader, and the more you're able to relate to the reader, the more interested the reader is in your writing, which makes your story pop. It gives it power. So, what you should do is, before or while you're in the middle of writing your short story, is stop for a minute and get to know your character, your main character, a little bit better. The assignment for today is going to be easy. I'm not going to have you write all these different things about the character, but you're going to write in MLA format to be uploaded into Canvas. You're going to write about your character, basically the present and the future of your character as it pertains to this story. So the question will be, what is their story goal? In other words, what does your character want in the story? You'll do that in a single paragraph. Then number 2, you'll write the story's motivation. Why do they want it? Why does your character want whatever it is they want in the story? And that'll be in a single paragraph also. So this is critical information to know, because it'll make up the unshakable foundation. Whenever you feel like your story is straying off course, you can always go straight back to your character's story goal and motivation. Try to remember, your story is about the character or characters. The more you know, the more you'll be able to describe to the reader, and again, it'll help your story, make your story a lot more interesting. And of course, that's what we want. So, as usual, have a good day, and I'll see you in class.